Hello, welcome to this video. So we're gonna be taking Walking Dead characters and putting them in whatever season I think they should die in. Whether that be the same, earlier, later, will depend on the character. I'm not gonna really share too many thoughts on characters that just stay in the same spot. But I will talk about the ones that move around a bit. There are a lot of alternative factors that characters do leave the shows for or die or whatever. For the purposes of this list, I am going to be assuming that there's no spin-offs. So, for example, and I'm going to also be assuming that you've seen the whole show. I haven't seen much of the spin-offs, but I am going to be spoiling the main show entirely. And what I know of the spin-offs that are relevant, I'll be spoiling that too. So do not watch this video if you don't want spoilers. I'm gonna kind of just choose randomly out of here, except for the first one. I'm gonna start with Dale. Because Dale obviously dies in season 2. And we know the reason that Dale dies in season 2 is because Frank Darabont was no longer directing. And because of that, Dale's actor, Jeffrey DeMund, wanted to leave the show. However, assuming that there's no external factors for a character to leave, I would personally keep Dale on the show until season 5. And I would use Dale. In the comics, Dale dies the same way Bob dies. However, we're not going to take away anything for Bob. Bob is going to live and die the same way. So actually, we'll put him in season 5 already. But he's going to live and die the same way. Nothing's going to change with Bob. But we're going to use Dale as a catalyst for the flashback scenes. Where the last flashback scene is going to show that Gareth was actually talking to Dale about what had happened. And maybe we can get a moment of hesitation from Gareth. When Carol blows up the thing, if he's alone with Dale, and then somebody else kills Dale. Or Gareth could just kill Dale, I'm not sure, but I think Dale trying to appeal to Gareth's humanity, to let them go or try and work together, could have been a lot more interesting and a more compelling way to show the backstories. But that's why I would put Dale in season 5 instead of season 2. Eric. Eric dies in the beginning of All Out War in season 8, and I think Eric can have the same death. Gage, I believe. This is Mr. Metro Man who dies. He's not enough of a character to really care too much. He can die in the same way. Father Gabriel. Father Gabriel, I'm going to put him in lives. I don't see any reason to kill him off right now. I might change my mind later. Dante is season 10. And Dante can do the same thing. I don't like Dante killing Carl. Or not Carl, Sadiq. I don't like Dante killing Sadiq, because it kind of feels like you're just spitting on Carl. However, in this universe, we don't have to care about that, because we don't have to have Carl die in season 8. So you can actually LMNOP QRS Rosita Sasha Sadiq. Dante can still kill Sadiq because it's not gonna feel the same way with with Carl living. Carl will live. There's no reason for Carl not to live in the show. You can debate whatever reasons you think, if he was fired or let go. Was his acting the reason he let go? Was it not? Regardless, I don't think Carl needed to die. I don't think he needs to die. So he is going to live. Eugene also can live. The one thing about Eugene, especially in season 11, is he got, like, pretty much a main character role. Because Rick and Carl and Michonne all left the show. But I think you could still sneak his storyline in there in season 11, even if you have all this Rick stuff going on. I would personally remove the Reapers so you have more time. But this isn't a what if the Reapers weren't here, so they're included. But even so, I think you could still sneak in Eugene's thing a little bit there. But yeah, I like Eugene. I like the way he talks. I think he's very funny. And the show loses a lot of their funny characters later on, so I would like Eugene to stay. Gary, I'm pretty sure his name's Gary, and he dies in All Out War. He can die in All Out War. The Vatos man. What's his name? I want to say Gargiulio, but I know Gargiulio is that guy that Merle kills. Anyway, there's a deleted scene in season 3 at the beginning of it. After the farm goes down, they go to the Vatos and find out they've all been killed by gunshot. I think that should have stayed in the show. I think it's pretty obvious they were going to hint that was the governor. And they confirmed that they canonly died, so it really should have just been in the show. That's canon death. I think that's fine. Just leave him dead there. Heath. So Heath disappears in season 8 or season 7. I think it's season 7 he disappears. Yeah, it's season 7 he disappears. And a lot of people thought he was going to go into The Ones Who Live, but he didn't because it wasn't. So he kind of just left the show. I'm not sure if it was him leaving or they had plans for him and it didn't work out or whatever. But I do think we can use. I think for now we're going to have Heath die in season 7 instead of going missing. There's no spin-off. And we're assuming this only goes to season 11, so there's no reason to set up him with the CRM for no reason. But for now, I'm going to leave him in season 7. Maybe he just gets bit and dies on the bridge, saving Tara. But that's where I'm going to leave him for now. Dog lives. Don't kill dog. Dr. Carson is a season 8 death. I hate the way that Dr. Carson dies. I think it's really stupid. I kind of feel like you wouldn't want to kill the doctor. And I feel like Negan's group would kind of like not the workers, but like the quote-unquote militia would probably risk getting somebody killed to save a doctor, even though the doctor doesn't want to be there. Which I guess they kind of say after they shoot him, like, dude, man, that was a doctor. But I like that episode. I like everything else about that episode. I can't think of anything else in that episode that I didn't like. So I would maybe just change his death a little bit. Maybe he has a gun when they find him, and he does shoot somebody, so then they shoot him back. Instead of him just grabbing a gun while he's in the back of a truck and getting shot instantly. Glenn, I think Glenn stays as the season 7 bat kill. I think the only other thing you could do is have it be Maggie, but which could be interesting in its own right, because obviously he doesn't know that she's pregnant, and then that could be a whole thing. But I do think that Glenn is probably the one that makes the most sense. It happens in the comics. I think it makes the most sense that is where he dies. DJ is, in the original show, he's a Pike victim in season 9. And I think I'm actually going to keep him as a Pike victim. Him being a savior on the Pikes, I think, is important to kind of have people from every community. So we're going to keep DJ there. Gary is a... No, not Gary. Gary's the other guy. Dave. Dave can die right when he dies. Yeah, there's no reason. Nobody wants Gary. Nobody wants Dave around any longer than he has to be. Nobody wants him. Nobody likes him. Gavin dies in season 8 in the show. I would actually like to have Gavin live and take Ezekiel's deal so we have another recognizable savior. But I also think that him dying there is also good. The only way I would really have Gavin take that deal is if he was like a Pike death in the next season. But I think Gavin can actually just keep his death. I think that's fine. Diane. I'm pretty sure Diane lives in the original show. I don't think she dies in season 11. And I don't really see any reason to not have her live. So she's just going to stay like that. Eastman is in season 7. He has 1 episode in the entire show, and he is one of the best characters in the show. But it's a flashback episode, and I don't want to have to go through the trouble of explaining why Morgan and Eastman left each other and all that. I think it can just stay the same. That episode's really good by itself, so I think it can just stay like that. Jesse is originally dead in season 6. No Way Out, one of the highest rated episodes of the entire show. If we want Rick and Michonne to be a thing, Jesse's got to die here, so Jesse's got to die here. Jimmy is a season 2 death. He's not much of a character. I don't really know what you would do with him. I'd probably just keep him as a season 2 death. Jesus originally dies in season 9. He's the one that dies to the first Whisperer. And when you first watch it, it kind of sucks that Jesus dies. He's just kind of being set up to be the leader. But in retrospect, I actually think Jesus dying is probably a really good choice. Not because he's becoming a leader. You could have probably just taken that out. But because he is supposed to be one of our most skilled hand-to-hand combatants, and that Whisperer, because of his disguise, just took him out like nothing. It shows how dangerous these people can be. So I would actually leave Jesus in the same spot, and the only thing I might change is the setting up him to be leader. Jadis. So there's no ones who live, so there's not going to be any Jadis saves Rick on a helicopter. Jadis could still leave on the helicopter. We have her in season 9. She kind of has a thing with Gabriel. I think we could explore that more. And then I think Jadis could be a Pike death. I think that's where I'm going to put her for now. And then we'll kind of see where our Pike deaths are, and maybe we'll move some people around. But I think I'm going to put her as a Pike death for right now. There isn't much... Like, I think Jadis is a character you could do a lot with, but I don't think Jadis is a character that's really worth keeping around too much. I think she's probably better off to just be gone in season 9, and she'll have a pretty well the whole season to be there with Gabriel. Fat Joey, he can die when he dies. He's kind of funny, but there's no reason for his character to exist any longer than he does. It is also supposed to be the one savior that we kind of like, and Daryl kills him anyway. I think we just leave him as he is. Jerry lives. There is no reason to kill Jerry. Never. Except if you want Carol to face consequences for her actions in season 10, then I think Jerry should die in those tunnels. However, we may not have Carol live that long, so that might not even be a factor anymore. We'll see when we get to Carol. Judith, no reason to kill Judith off. Good character, nothing wrong there. I think we leave her in. Gareth, I don't think Gareth could live another episode. I think he was already kind of starting to wear out his welcome in season 8. If anything, have him die a little bit, a couple episodes sooner, but I think even where it is, it's fine, but I don't think you could have him in one more episode. It'd be too much. Laura. So Laura dies in season 10 during the Whisperer War. Yeah, season 9 is the very beginning of the Whisperer War. The very end of season 9. So she dies in season 10. Beta throws her against a wall and she dies. Kind of blink and you miss it kind of thing. I do think that Laura should have a bigger death. She is probably, excluding Negan, the most recognizable savior. And I think she deserves a bigger death for that. And I know exactly where I would want to put her death. There is a scene in the end of season 10 where Gabriel is like, go on, everybody, I'll hold them off. And you guys can get out while... he basically sacrifices his life there. He gets attacked by whisperers coming up the stairs. And he's on the ground and he has his gun, but he can't shoot them all in time. And then Maggie's group comes out of nowhere and saves them with superhero style, last minute, a little bit of roll your eye. I would actually just have Laura take that role. Like, I'll stay, you all get out of here. And I would have her die there. I think it makes perfect sense for a character to die there. And I think it's a little eye-rolly that Gabriel didn't die there, or they didn't have a different character do it and die there. So I'm going to have Laura do that, and she's going to die there instead. What's her name? Megan's mother. I can't remember her name. And I'm not going to spend too long trying to remember it. I don't think she needs to live past season 3. I think if you're going to take a character from the governor's group and add him to our group, 1 is enough, and we've already got Tara doing that. So I think she can have her same death. I think that's fine. I believe this guy's name is Eduardo. And from what I remember, we don't see him ever again after one of the Whisperer fights. There's some conflict and we never see him again. So I'm going to assume that he died. I think it was a Whisperer fight. So I'm going to put him in Season 10. I'm assuming he died because I don't think we ever see him again. And that's the same with B.E. Carol. There he is. Okay, well, I thought this guy's name was Cal, but it obviously isn't. It starts with like a J. But I don't think we see this guy either at any point in the show after that same fight. If I'm wrong, whatever. But I don't think we see these guys after one Whisperer fight. So I'm just going to say that that's where they die. Lydia. So Lydia is kind of interesting because she doesn't do a whole lot in Season 11. But I also don't see any reason for Lydia not to live. So I think we're just going to put her in lives. I think that's... I don't think there's much reason for her not to live. Alright. Jackie. I think Jackie can have the same death. There aren't a lot of, like, named character deaths in Season 1, so I think it's fine if, Jackie and Dr. Jenner keep their same death. I don't think there's much reason in changing that kind of... yeah. Connie. Connie lives. If I could change anything, it would be for her not to miss out in Season 10 by having her disappear. But, at the same time, pretty sure that's because she was filming something. And I think I would actually embrace the Connie-Daryl romance. So that we can't have garbage. Well, I shouldn't say garbage. I didn't watch the Daryl Dixon show. But from what I've heard, the romance in that show is not very good. So I probably would explore it with Connie. And technically that wouldn't be a spin-off show. So I'd probably just have him and Connie end up being a thing. Probably one of the only couples at the end of Season 11 time skip that don't have a child. Because I don't think that's necessary for those characters. Maggie lives. She does get a little annoying. Her character, the way she acts, the way she talks a little bit. But I would just have her live. I think even that conversation between her and Negan at the end of Season 11, I think that conversation alone is enough to have Maggie live throughout the whole thing. Just so that conversation can happen. I mean, I don't really see much reason to kill her. She is one of the very few, like, very early season characters, Season 1, 2, maybe 3, that live. So we'll keep her. Ed Peltier, he can die in the exact same way. We were very happy with him dying. We don't like Ed. Nobody likes Ed. Martinez, unfortunately, I really like Martinez. He's Season 4, actually. But I don't really see any way for the story to keep him around. Unless he's just not going to be part of that camp. And him and Shrimp, I think his name's Shrimp. The three that lived, him, the governor, and I think his name's Shrimp. The only way that works is if Martinez and Shrimp also go back to the prison. But I think it works better for the governor to go to Martinez's camp. So he's going to have to die the same way. Dwayne is very much, his death is very much important for how Morgan's character turns out. Obviously, we don't know exactly when Dwayne dies, but we find out that he dies during season 3. So I'm just going to put him in season 3, but his death will be exactly the same. Earl. Earl is one of my favorite characters. He, I really like the episode that he dies in. I just like him in general. I think he's very nice. He's a very fun character. I would love to have him live throughout the whole show, but I think his death episode is so good that I think I'm not going to change that at all. Mika. Where is she? Mika and Lizzie. One of the best, one of my absolute favorite episodes is The Grove, so I will not change anything in it. It'd be kind of interesting to see how they try and manage actually having Lizzie in the group, but like I said, the Grove is so perfect, I wouldn't want to touch it. Martin is a season 5 death, and termites can die in the same way. The ones that live farther, they could have had some kind of redemption thing, maybe introduce them a couple seasons later. Maybe Gareth and Martin end up being part of the wolves just to live. But if they're going to come back to the church, there's no way that they should be allowed to live from that. So they're going to die in the church. I'll just put Gareth there right away because they're both going to die in the church same way. Natanya, something like that. She dies in season 8. Enid shoots her because it's dark outside. Don't like that. Don't like that death at all. I'd still have her die in season 8, but I might have her die near the end of season 8, when Oceanside comes back to throw Molotovs. Maybe a couple Oceanside people get shot, and she's one of them that dies there. And she can, when she's dying, she'd be like, well, it's worth it because now we're free. I just wouldn't give her the being shot in the dark because it's dark death. Magna. Magna lives in the show. Disappears for a little bit in season 10. But I would probably honestly make Magna a season 9 Pike death. I think that Magna, Yumako's group, those people, one of them should die on the Pikes, and unfortunately Magna's just the one that I kind of like the least. In my opinion, has the least story relevance after they're done being introduced. That's basically it. I just want to pick one of them for the Pikes, and Magna is the one that I would pick. So she's going to be on the Pikes. Keep these Pike deaths together. So I'm going to have to count and see how many I have at the end. Merle dies in season 3. I could probably make an hour-long video about Merle and the wasted potential of Merle. I think Merle should live until at least season 7. Now, season 4, 5, and 6, and 7, Merle should never apologize for what he's done. That's not really how Merle is, and I don't want to make him... You could do it, and it could work. But I think what I would probably do is have Merle be with Glenn after the prison falls, and have him say something along the lines of, you know, once I get you back to your girl, and I get back to my brother, we'll call things even. Like, I'll get you there. I promise I'll get you there. And have him call him at some point in that conversation, you know, Asian boy. It's still Merle. But it's the same kind of thing with Daryl when he called him a Chinaman. And then he said, I'm Korean. And then Merle called him a Chinese kid. And then Daryl said he's Korean. And then have Merle say, well, I guess not Asian boy. Have him say Korean kid. Korean kid or Korean boy or something. You just got to give him little things. And then have at some point, maybe in the tunnel, maybe Glenn's the one that gets his leg stuck. Or rolls his ankle or whatever it is. And then Tara doesn't want to leave him. And then Merle's not going to leave him either. Maybe he just says something like, I made you a promise. Korean boy. And then Tara tries to get him out while Merle holds them off until Abraham's truck comes. I think Merle is I think the humor that Merle brings to is very important. And I would have him live till at least season 7. And I think that them taking Daryl and then Merle, I think they could also take Merle. Just have Merle or Daryl say that they're brothers at some point during the lineup. And then have Merle be like, I'll do anything you want, just don't hurt Daryl. And then you could have Eugene and Merle doing the kind of double agent thing. But, yeah, I would probably have Merle die in season 8. I think that's a good point for Merle to die. He could die doing something to get the upper hand on Negan, kind of like Eugene risked his life to get the upper hand on Negan. But I think Merle most definitely should have lived longer than season 3. And I think season 8 is a good point for him to live to. Noah. So Noah, I believe, and I'm going to quickly double check, I believe he dies in season 5. Yeah, he dies at kind of near the end of season 5, which sucks because the same season he's introduced. And he's the reason that Beth's death kind of feels, well, we died for Noah. And then Noah dies in the same season. But what I would actually do is that I would give Beth Noah's death. Show the incompetence of Alexandria. Have Beth die there. Don't have her die at the hospital. That's dumb. All you have to do, like, I don't even get why Noah was like, oh, I'll just go back, and then Beth does her thing. Because all Rick had to do was be like, that wasn't part of the deal, because it wasn't. And then just have something be like, or just have one of them say like, you're really going to risk all your men over one kid? And whether Dawn would or not, just make it sound like she's incompetent. Make it sound like she cares more about one kid than all of her officers. And pretty much just force her to stand down with words. And then have Beth leave, and then she can die in Alexandria. And Noah won't die in Alexandria then. He might be a Pike death a couple seasons later. But that one I'm also not sure about where we'll put Noah exactly. We're going to see how many Pike deaths we have, and then kind of rearrange them from there. Nicholas dies in season 7. I'm not going to change anything about his death. I like his death. The only circumstance around his death I would change is the fake out. I wouldn't have the Glenn fake out. I would probably have Nicholas shoot himself and fall. And then maybe there's something on like the side of the building that Glenn can grab onto and have the walkers right by it. They're now eating Nicholas. So in a kind of way you could say Nicholas saved them. But I would not have the Glenn fake out death. But everything else about his death I would keep. I think his death is well done. Olivia gets shot in season 7. She's one of those characters that they build up just so they can kill them off. And I think she's fine. Keep her death where it is. I don't know who else you would kill in that moment. Because you wouldn't want to be a main character, but it's got to be a named character. I think we can just... I mean, I guess Tobin. It could be Tobin, but I think it's fine if it's Olivia. I think her death is fine how it is. Otis, my man Otis. Otis, one of my favorite characters. He didn't mean to shoot Carl. He's such a good soul. He did everything he could to save that kid. Except listen to Shane when Shane said to go. I would love Otis to live. I would put him in libs. But it fundamentally changes Shane too much if Otis lives. And just for that reason, he's got to die where he dies. It's too important. The only thing you could do is like make Jimmy go with Shane. But then Otis doesn't have that part of him where he left. Or where he shot Carl and then he went to go find him and died for it. I think Otis got to stay where he is, even though I would love Otis to have lived. Ezekiel. So obviously in the main show Ezekiel lives. I think that's where we're gonna keep him for now. Yeah. Actually, we're gonna put Ezekiel with the Pike deaths for now. And then, like I said, I'm going to have probably more Pike deaths than I actually want, and then I'll kind of re-examine who's in there and whatnot. Morgan. If Carl lives, somebody's got to die and have the whole Rick, we got to find peace speech. And I would have that character be Morgan. The way that the show is in its current form, I don't think Morgan works. I think if you do some rewrites with Morgan and Rick's character dynamics, it could work very well. And I would actually probably have Morgan die and Merle die in the same episode. And I would explore like, obviously both Daryl and Rick are going to be pissed, just like in the main show after. But have Merle's death still be the catalyst for Daryl's whole I'm gonna go kill Negan behind Rick's back plan. B, because Merle died, and kind of just show, Morgan died, but Rick could use that to find mercy, whereas Daryl had Merle died and he couldn't. Until, later on in the series, but I would probably have Merle and Morgan die in the same episode. I'm usually not a fan of two main characters dying in the same episode, but I think Merle and Morgan could work for that purpose. Michonne lives. I don't think there's any moment that really makes sense to kill her. Because, there's not really any reason or spot to kill her character. I think that she can just live forever. Oscar. Let's talk about Axel and Oscar. Oscar and Axel both die in season 3. Axel won't die in season 3, but Oscar is going to get Axel's death. Nobody needs to die at Woodbury. All they need to do, they can still shoot Oscar. He doesn't need to die. Because really the only reason Oscar is there is so they can be like, oh, that's a prisoner, so they're at the prison. But I would give Oscar Axel's death. And the main reason for that is we know how Axel responds to Oscar's death already, because it happens in the show. And I like Axel a lot more than I like Oscar. But me liking Axel can only let him live for so long. Because I think Axel's gotta die in season 5. And I think the death I would give Axel is at the trough when they're hitting people with bats and killing them. I think I'd have Axel die in that. I think I'd have a character die in... Well, actually, now I'd have 2 characters die in Terminus and 3 because of Terminus. Which would be Dale, Bob, and Axel. But I have Dale be shot, and I have an Axel be hit and slit, and then not even... Well, he probably still got eaten, actually, because there were walkers in there. Yeah, I would have Axel live till there. Once again, Axel's a character that I would love to just put in lives, but I think it makes more sense for him to live that long. I'm going to talk about Carol, because I want to talk about Axel. Carol, I would actually make the first victim from Negan's lineup. And if I was watching the show for the first time and it happened, I'd hate it. I think it'd be talked about as one of the worst decisions. But with the power of hindsight, I think it would actually be a really good point to kill her character off, because I think her character starts having a lot of issues and people start not liking her as much after season 7. I don't think she's that bad in season 8, but season 9 when she starts... Or sorry, not season 9. Season 10, especially, when she starts putting everybody at risk because she wants to kill Alpha. I don't know. I think in retrospect, I think Carol would actually be a really good lineup victim. And it would be really hard to watch 2 season 1 characters go. But I think Carol would actually be a really good first death. And obviously she's not at the lineup in the show, but those people that run into Carol and Morgan shoots that guy, maybe have Morgan not shoot that guy. All life is precious. Or maybe he just gets surrounded by 3 other guys, and then they take Carol and Morgan and bring them to the lineup too. But I would make Carol the first lineup victim, which I only bring up for Axel because I do think Axel and Carol would end up in a relationship. Even if it's not super serious of a relationship, I think they would end up in one. So then having Axel alive at season 7 for that response to her death could be cool. But then I think Axel... That's the only reason I want to talk about Carol first, because it could make sense to have Axel live till like season 8. But I think him dying at the trough, and you can have that moment with Carol. Maybe she does it, like maybe they hit him with the baseball bat and he dies. Well, actually, they could hit him with the baseball bat and slit his throat and he dies. Because that wouldn't stop them from becoming a walker, just doing that. And then maybe she finds Axel as a walker while she's sneaking around. Randall. I honestly think Randall could have joined the group. And I'm not just saying that because I like Dale. But the episode where Shane and Rick and Randall go to the bus, and then Shane and Rick have their fight, and you see Randall working with Rick, and like the way that they're working together, I honestly thought was going to be the episode where Randall joins the group. I was a little surprised that it wasn't when I first watched it, because it felt to me like that was them showing, oh, Randall can work with us. We can trust him. Not completely trust him, like Dale said, keep him on a leash, but they didn't do that. And it's kind of important for Shane to just kill Randall. It might have even been worse if they did have Randall on a leash and then Shane killed him because he still didn't trust him. But whether you did that or not, I'd still have him die at season 2 by Shane. Whether the group trusted him or not, or started to trust him. The Wolf is a season 6 death. That's when he died in the show. I would like to see more of his character, especially when he's just starting to break free of his old ways, presumably. But Carol's still alive, so Carol will kill him. I think that makes the most sense to have that death be the same. That's also what really starts her, I don't want to live with, I don't want to kill people anymore. So I think we can, I think the wolf dying there will make sense. Negan lives. There's no reason to make him not live. And, he's kind of one of the best parts of the show, especially in, like, season 9, 10, and 11. So I would not remove him from the show. I'd let him just stay till the end like he does. Rachel, Oceanside members survive. I don't really see any reason for them not to survive. Actually, now that I think about it, who are the Pike victims? Ozzy, Alec, DJ, Frankie, Tammy, Rodney, Adney, Tara, Enid, Henry. So there actually isn't an Oceanside person. Arguably Tara, but she becomes leader of Hilltop. So we could have somebody from Oceanside die there. And I hate Natanya or Natalia, whatever her name is. I hate her death. Might actually make her a Pike victim instead. And then not have that stupid in the dark kill, and then you don't have to change the Molotov scene to have people die in it either. Just make her a Pike death. Yeah, we'll probably make her a Pike death. Probably on the same level as, like, Tammy. Not like a main character one, but we'll still have her there. Denise, I really like Denise's death in season 6. I really like it. I like her character a lot in the little bit of episodes we got with her. And I'd keep her death the same. I think it's really cool. Reg. I think Reg's death is going to stay the same. His season 6 death. And because we got Noah living longer, it's going to feel more like he's taking on that role. Noah's taking on that role after Reg. I'm just going to quickly see if I can find Pete. Pete's also going to keep the same death. That's how Reg dies, so Pete's going to die and kill Reg in the same way. Not changing anything there. Rick. I keep going back and forth if Rick should die in season 11 or if he should live. And I think I've settled on Rick dying in season 11. And assuming it's a 16 episode season. How many episodes is season 11? 24. Okay, so let's say it's 24. If Rick dies in, like, episode 24 or 23, Maybe he has a very similar quote-unquote death as season 9, where he dies for his family. And he could literally die for Carl, Michonne, Judith, and RJ, because no reason for RJ to die. I might give him that, or you could give him the comic death where Sebastian shoots him. Either way, I think the more I think about it, the more impactful it would be for Rick to die in season 11. Dawn dies in the hospital, and we never see them again. Any of the hospital people. So she can die in season 5 like she normally does. That's fine with me. Simon, I'd keep him as the same death in season 8. I think that's fine. Richard dies in season 7, because he does it after we meet Negan. And I would probably just keep it the same. I kind of liked Richard's character, actually. I don't think I would change much about his character, in the way, especially the way he dies, I think is completely fine. Regina dies in season 9. I believe it's season 9. She's with the guy who goes, "Hey, boss lady." And then Carol, I believe, burns them to death. But actually, Carol's dead now, so that doesn't happen. There could still be rogue saviors, like Regina and whatever his name is. They just run into a different character, and that other character has to kill them. Yeah, maybe Ezekiel and Henry. And I don't know. Maybe Daryl and Henry. I don't know. It'd be 2 other characters that they would run into, and they'd probably just have to go back and kill them. Herschel, season 4. Herschel's another one that you want to just put him in lives, but that episode, Too Far Gone, is near perfection, and really no reason to change it. Taking Herschel's death out of that episode makes that episode not nearly as good. He's got to stay where he is. Enid, I think I would have Enid live. I don't think there's. I feel like part of the reason she died on the Pikes was because Carl died, and they didn't know what to do with her character. But since we have Carl living, I think we could have Enid live. The only argument you could have with Enid still being on the Pikes is that it would be a big one for Carl. But I think Enid can live. I don't think there's. I think her character is completely good to live. I don't think she needs to die in the Pikes, and we're already gonna have somebody I want to take her spot in the Pikes anyway. I think she can live happily ever after with Carl. Give her the comic book Sophia ending. Tammy in the main show is a Pike death. Get her out of the Pike deaths. I would keep her on the Pike deaths. She was probably actually one of the ones I was most sad about in the original Pike deaths. So I wouldn't take her out of it. To me, she adds a lot to the Pike deaths. T-Dog, he dies in season 3. He dies in the same episode as Lori. Lori's death is going to stay the same. I really like Lori's death. I think it's very well done. I'm not going to have T-Dog die in that same episode, though. T-Dog is going to live till episode 15, 16, somewhere in there. Because he should live long enough to at least converse with Merle. So I'd probably have him be like a 15, 16 death. Especially since we're not having Merle die in episode 15. And we are not having Andrea die in 16. Andrea, the last minute write-off, her contract was for however many years it was, which from what I understand should have been up till about season 9. So she is going to beat season 9. Her contract was till then. That's how long she should have been around for, which I know I kind of talked about taking that kind of stuff out of account, but I think Andrea's character is the definition of wasted potential. And I know a lot of people just want her dead in season 3 because they don't like her. But there is no such thing as a character that is unredeemable. I wholeheartedly believe that Andrea could be brought up to one of the best characters. Because you gotta remember, this is season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is like 6 seasons later. There is so much time to have the writers bring her character back up onto a pedestal. And I believe they could do it because the foundation of Andrea's character is there. The question is if she lives till season 9, season 10, season 11, or lives the whole show. I think Andrea, I'd probably have her die at some point within the Whisperer War. I don't know, to me, for some reason, Andrea just screams Whisperer War death when I look at these 3 seasons. Or lives. And just because Andrea lives doesn't mean the Rick Michonne relationship was over. Rick and Michonne still have the relationship, and Andrea either doesn't or it's with a different character. But she is going to live till season 10. And I think I'd have her die in the Whisperer War. Yeah, I think it's just I just really want Andrea to live longer. I just believe that her character had so much wasted potential. Tara is probably gonna still be a Pike death. I'm trying to think if there's really a time you killed Tara earlier. Her season 8 flip-flopping is really annoying. Which, I mean, could just be a writing fix, but I'm just gonna put her with the Pikes for now, and then see where it goes from there. Spencer, he can keep his season 7 death. Oops. I don't see any reason for his death to change. I think it's... I mean, how else would we know if he had guts or not? Shane stays in season 2. I love to see Shane longer than that, but it just doesn't work in this show. PMC did a What If Shane Lived show. Cool. I'd like to see that, but there isn't any reason for Shane to live any longer than season 2. It takes away from what made that episode great. The governor, once again, season 4. I don't think you can have the governor live any longer. I think he is around for the perfect amount of time. And I think even one more episode would be too much. I think it's a perfect episode for him to go. Gregory. I like Gregory's character on a second watch especially. But I think he would outstay his welcome for sure if he lived longer. But I would still keep his death the same. I like his role in season 8. And it doesn't need to exist in season 9. Lucille obviously is a flashback character who dies, I think, before season 1, technically. Maybe around season 2. I'm just gonna put her in season 1, just because I don't know where it would be in timeline. But I'm just gonna put it in season 1. But it's not a change. It's exactly the same as that episode. That episode is very good, and I wouldn't change that episode either. Cole, one of Maggie's friends that die. Same with this man. From the Reapers. And I really don't care about the Reaper stuff. I don't really care about Maggie's people. So they're just gonna die the same way. Ron is going to die in season 6. Yeah, that episode is also one of the highest rated episodes, and I wouldn't change the deaths around. The only way that you could change Ron to stay alive is if Michonne tried to knock him out instead of kill him. But I think it works the way it works, and I don't think there's any reason to change it. Daryl lives. There's no reason to kill Daryl. He's the most popular character. There's no way they kill him. Tomas and Andrew can die the same way as they do in the show. I think they both serve their purposes well enough. This girl, I don't know if she dies in season 11. I don't know if she lives. She's dead. I don't know. In this timeline, I don't want to worry about if she's alive or dead. She's just dead. She died. This is... No, not lives. God, no. One of the Reapers, I think Brandon. Dead. Don't want the Reapers around. Dead. Pope. Dead. Leah. Dead. Reapers. Dead. Rosita. Dead. One of the reasons that Rosita died because the actress wanted the character to die for that closure, and we'll just give her that closure. It can be very similar, if not the same, as the show. I take the stupid superhero thing away, jumping out from the horde, but she could die very similar way. A rat, she dies in season 9. I think that I think her death could be the same. It's interesting enough. I like it, so it can stay. Luke, season 11 death. Luke's death is probably one of the best deaths. Period. I think the acting is super, super well done. And I think just because Magna's not there, I think it would still work the same. That death is so well acted. It's so good. Sherry. So obviously Dwight and Sherry, they go to Fear. But we're assuming Fear doesn't exist. And I will give you McSpoilers right now. Dwight lives. I'd have Dwight live. He is the most recognizable savior other than Negan. Laura's up there as well, but we already have Laura dying in season 9. Or season 10. Where the hell's Laura? Yeah, season 10. So I have Dwight living. Sherry, on the other hand, Sherry could be a character we never see again. Sherry could also come back and then die. I think I'd probably have Sherry die in season 10, and then kind of see how Negan and Dwight deal with that together. Maybe she just dies from the Whisperer. Maybe she has a more similar death to Laura's. Maybe not as much of a blink and you miss it thing, but dies when Beta tries to find Gamma. Maybe. Princess can live. Introduced in season 11. Not much point in killing her off. I would just have her live. Same with Tommy. Introduced in season 11. There's not really any time of it that makes sense to kill him. I'd probably just have him live. Pamela, I would also have live. I wouldn't really change her stuff either. I think that is... I think she's fine. Annie, I would have live. No reason to kill her. The only way I would have Annie die is if she does get shot at the prison where they're threatening her. But I don't think she needs to die there. I don't think it's necessary. I just have her live throughout the show. Sebastian, he can keep his death in season 11. I think that's fine. Same with Lance. He can also keep his death in season 11. I think that's also fine. And Jules also can keep her death in season 11. Karen, she'll keep her death in season 4. That's very important to the Grove, and like I said, the Grove is one of my favorite, if not most favorite episodes, and I can't change that. Sophia is a huge season 2 death, and I wouldn't change it. I would keep her as a huge as that barn scene huge season 2. Mercer lives. There's no reason to kill Mercer off. Tobin dies in season 10, and he can keep his death in season 10. I do really like Tobin, but I think his death works. Joe can keep his season 4 death. I think I really like the Claimer's role in the story, and I wouldn't really change the Claimer's role in the story and all that, so Joe can die in the same way. Gamma. Once again, I like Gamma. I would like to see more of Gamma, but I don't know if we really need to see more of Gamma, and I probably just keep her death the same. Max, I'd have her live. I don't see any reason for her not to live. I think the story's fine. Yumiko can live. I don't think there's any reason to kill her off. Same with Kelly. I want that Luke scene to be all of them except Magna now. And at that point, there's no reason to kill off any of the characters except for Rosita. That's the only character that dies, like, at the very end of the show. And Rick, probably. Milton. Milton's still gonna succumb to his wounds and die in the very end of season 3. Only difference is that he doesn't kill Andrea. Andrea is able to kill him before she dies. Virgil. Whatever. Virgil is a character who is at the big windmill fire thing, and we never see him again. Just have him die at the big windmill fire thing if we're never going to see him again. Tyrese. Season 5 is where Tyrese dies in the show. But not this time. Tyrese is probably my biggest jump character from how many seasons they originally lived in to where they died. Because Tyrese is one of the few characters that's that far back that's gonna live. I don't really like the episode that Tyrese dies in. I think it's artistically done, but I don't think there's any reason for him to die. He could be a good season 7 lineup death, but I personally feel like Carol is better for that. And I'd have Tyrese at the lineup, and I'd probably just have him and Morgan look for Carol, and both get taken. Or you could just put Tyrese in the RV. But I'd have Tyrese live. I think he could have a really nice conversation with Rick when Rick dies about how he'll look out for Judith like he did before. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tyrese is my biggest jump character, and he's not even really one of my like all-time favorites. I just don't see any reason for Tyrese to die at any point. This man, Brandon, I think, he's the one that kind of has a date with Negan in season 9, and then he gets killed. And he can stay killed in season 9. Alpha dies in season 10, and Beta dies in season 10. I'd probably make the fight against Beta way more interesting and cool. Alphas I wouldn't change. I think Alphas is fine. But I basically wouldn't change their deaths. Might just change the circumstances around Betas a little bit, just to make it more of a fight, but I think it's fine. Alan. He died in season 3. He died the same way. There's no reason to change his character. I wouldn't just aim his gun at the governor for like a solid 2 seconds and not do anything. I'd probably just have the governor shoot him when he tries to raise his gun. That'd probably be the only difference. Herschel, Gracie, they're kids that live, and there's no reason to change that. Okay, let's kind of look in here. Patricia, season 2, I wouldn't change her death. Aiden dies in season 5, I wouldn't change his death. Amy dies in season 1, I wouldn't change her death. Shiva dies in season 8, I believe, and I wouldn't change her death. Deanna, I wouldn't change her death. I think she is probably one of the best Alexandrians. And I think her death is a big part of that, and I wouldn't change her death. Benjamin dies in season 7, and I wouldn't really change his death. I think his death is good. It's a big driving force for Ezekiel. Jim can die in season 1. I don't want his future seeing the future any more times than once. This lady lives, and there isn't really any reason or time to kill her, so she probably just live. This guy, I'm not sure if he died in season 11 or if he lives. But I'll put him in lives. If he died in season 11 and it's reasonable for him to live through it, I would just have him live. Same with Elijah. There's not much reason to actually kill him off. So I'd probably just let him live. Scott, as far as I'm aware, Scott lives. If I'm wrong, whatever, he'll live. He'll be one of the ones where when they go to Alexandria, he's out of the show. Alden, he can keep his season 11 death. I like Alden, but the only way I would have Alden live is to have that savior at the end of the show live, but now we have Dwight living as well, so Alden can keep his season 11 death. Morales dies in season 8. The only thing I would change about Morales' death is I'd maybe have him show up. I'd have his episode play out the same, but maybe have it show up after Morgan dies, when he gives his final, like, we can find a way of peace, Rick speech. And then maybe the first or second outpost he texts after that has Morales in it. Kind of makes him think a little bit more, like, oh, I knew this guy. That might be the only thing I change with Morales. I think he's fine either way, though. But I might just make him a little bit later in the show. but he still only needs his one episode. This doctor, he dies in season 7 in the show. And I think basically the whole reason that he dies is just for plot convenience, so that the other Dr. Carson can't be around for Maggie. But I don't like his death. If he was gonna die by Negan, I think he should have just died from having the iron or something. Or maybe they see, but then he's a doctor, so it's like, well, maybe they cut out his hand and he bleeds out, or his arm. It's like, well, why'd you do that to the doctor? But why would you kill the doctor in the first place? I don't like that Negan kills the doctor. I don't think it makes any sense. I don't think it makes sense for what they're supposed to be going for with Negan's character. I wouldn't have him die by Negan, but he also needs to die or be out of commission for them to need Dr. Carson. So I'd probably just change the circumstances at his death, but I would keep his death at the same spot. Cindy, as far as I'm aware, Oceanside survives, or as far as I remember, Oceanside survives. Same thing as Rachel. There's no reason or spot really to kill any of them. Aaron, I also think he can live. His relevance on the show might have dwindled realistically if Rick was on it till season 11, but we'll just have him live. There's not much reason to really kill him off. Okay, so Sasha. So the thing about Sasha is she's the end season 7 death. And she kind of does what she does because she has nobody left. The problem now is... I guess I'll talk about Abraham first. Abraham is a lives for me. He obviously doesn't get the bat in season 7. Carol does. And then I think Abraham is just a character that can just live to the end. And plus, Eugene, and this bothers me about the show, and it forever will. Eugene has one kid. He should have had twins. He should have named them Rosie and Abe. He should not have had one kid and named her just Rosie. It should have been twins, Rosie and Abe. But if Abraham lives, then that's not an issue. I also think that Abraham is so sorely missed after he's dead. That humor character is gone for so long. I think it's really important for Abraham to just live. Henry was obviously a Pike death. He was over here with the Pikes. But I think I'd have Henry live an extra season. And then we can give Lydia a little more development before he dies. And he can still die in the Whisperer War. It can still be Alpha who kills him. But then we don't have... We'll have a little bit more time for him and Lydia to do their romance thing. So now the thing about Sasha is her season 7 death is not going to make sense anymore. So then we need to make Sasha go somewhere else. And by somewhere else, I of course mean to the Pikes. But now I need somebody. We most definitely need... It's funny when you look at it, like, I guess, like, season 2, like, Sophia and Dale are really the only ones. Season 3, Lori and T-Dog, Herschel, Bob, Beth, Noah. Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 characters this season, roughly. Yeah, I'm just thinking that season 7 needs another major character death. Which my first thought is to put Merle there, and that be Merle's sacrifice point, is him turning on Negan while he's down there and shooting at him. Yeah. Well, who else do we have? We have Noah. I don't think that makes sense for him to try and break in and kill him. See, I kind of just want to put Merle there, but I also like the Morgan Merle dying at the same time and then having Rick and Daryl deal with that differently. It can't be Ezekiel. I don't think it would be Sasha. We could make it Tara. Have maybe have Tara and Daryl go and do that, like Rosita and Sasha did, and then have Tara lock Daryl out of doing it instead. And then Tara can have the same thing with Eugene. Yeah, I think that actually works. I think having Tara do that. And Tara will be around for 3 seasons by then. Yeah, I actually think I like Tara being there instead. Okay, so that's everybody on my list, but I need to go back to these Pike deaths. So let's see. In the show's original Pike deaths, we have Ozzy, Alec, DJ, Frankie, Tammy, Addie, Rodney, Tara, Enid, Henry. So Ozzy, Alec, DJ, Frankie, Addie, Rodney are going to be the same. They're not on this list. So DJ's on here, Tammy's on here, Tara, Enid, Henry are on here. So there should be 5. We have DJ, Tammy, Jadis, Magna, Noah, Ezekiel, Natalia, Sasha. So we could get rid of 3. We could also have more. So let's put DJ, Tammy, Natanya, Jadis, Magna. And then maybe Noah, Sasha. I think season 9 is a good spot for Noah to die. I think season 9 could be a good spot for Sasha to die. Maybe I have Ezekiel. Yeah, maybe Ezekiel can just go into the lives. Maybe, yeah, maybe Ezekiel can just live. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I still have more Pike deaths, but they're also like Tara, Enid, Henry. Like Henry's a main character. Enid is kind of not as much a character anymore. And Tara was a big one, but not really treated like a big one. But I think Noah, Sasha, and then Magna and Jadis together are like a Henry Tara Enid levels. So I think those work as replacements. And obviously we have Henry dying the next season anyway. And Tara dies before that now. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess, I talked about Merle joining Glenn. But I guess just for funsies, if Merle joins Glenn, what would the other people who live longer than that? So, live longer in season 4 and you're not supposed to. So, we have Dale, Axel, scanning, Merle, Noah is introduced after. Sasha is alive already. Andrea. And in lives, I don't think there's anybody. No. So we have Merle, obviously is joining Glenn. And then we'd have a Dale, Axel, Andrea group. Which, Dale and Andrea together makes sense. They're kind of paired in the show to begin with. And then I think a conflict for them could be like Andrea telling Axel she's the one that shot him. But he wouldn't die from that, though. So it really wouldn't make sense for her to just say she shot him, because she didn't kill him. But Andrea and Dale together, like, that pretty much writes itself, and I'm sure that you could add Axel to that with no issue. I wouldn't want Axel to join. Nobody would join Rick and Michonne and Carl. That's their own thing. I don't want anybody joining Carol and Tyrese. I don't want anybody else joining Glenn, because then there's just too many people there. Maggie, Sasha, Bob. Maybe you could add Axel in there instead. And then Axel would kind of be with Bob. Like, Bob would still be the one who says everything, and Axel would kind of agree with him. But I think Dale, Andrea, and Axel together could work too. But either way, this is my my list of what characters that I think should have lived and which characters I think should have died. Or I guess it'd be more of, this is my list of where I think characters should have died or lived from the main show. Like, yeah. You know what I mean. So if you like this kind of video and would like to see more rankings and stuff, leave a comment what other kind of rankings. Some other ones I've kind of thought about are taking all of the possible line of victims and kind of ranking them as to which ones I think would work better and which ones I don't think would work. Maybe taking all of the characters that are alive at the time of the Pikes and making a different Pike scenario. There's lots of different ranking. You could even do something more like just ranking them on how I like them too. But if you like this video, and if you have any specific ones that you think would be fun to do, leave a comment and let me know. But if you watched this whole hour-and-a-half video, then thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.